Good morning and welcome to the Q1 results for 2022 for CI Games. This morning you have both myself, David Broderick as CFO, and Marek as founder of CI Games and CEO. We're going to walk you through the presentation, will be the format for this morning, and open up to some questions and answers session at the end of it for people who are online. Marek, if I throw it over to you to start.
Thank you, David. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let's go through the presentation then. CI Games, 20 years on the market in developing and publishing AA+ and AAA games. We currently have 3 main IPs. We sold 60 million copies. Among those 2 main IPs, we have 5 key global international locations. That is Poland, Spain, UK, US, and Romania. Currently, our headcount is close to 160 people, and the average experience of the management team is 14 years. Outstanding financial performance throughout the whole last year, 2021, and a very strong performance in the first quarter of 2022. Distributed development and marketing as our key competitive advantage. We started to change the organization from being mostly local, Poland-based back in 2019, and COVID accelerated that change. The change towards being more global across various countries, mostly in Europe. Right now, we have majority of our staff working across Europe, with around close to 70 people still in Poland out of 160 people in the entire team, and that goes both on the management level and on the projects team divisions level. Significant quality and efficiency improvement. I think last year is a great example of releasing 3 quality titles. Obviously, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 was our key title. That game achieved 85% positive reviews over Steam. Metacritic, depending on the platform, in the 70s. PlayStation 5 latest release, that was over 80% Metacritic, and 2 other games coming from United Label. Again, very strong user score and high Metacritic. Diversified business based on 4 pillars. We have 3 main IPs that we are currently developing projects under. That is Lords of the Fallen, Sniper Ghost Warrior, and Project Survive. And the 4th pillar being United Label, that is our indie video game brand. We're currently operating on Unreal Engine 5 across all our key main projects. So Sniper Ghost Warrior, Lords of the Fallen, and Project Survive all are operating on Unreal Engine 5. We are focused on first-person shooter and RPG titles. Sniper Ghost Warrior franchise being first-person shooter. Obviously, Lords of the Fallen is an RPG, action RPG. Project Survive is a survival genre where we take a lot of the expertise we have over FPS and RPG. We are operating our business and growing our business in the popular IP franchises. Again, we sold 13 million copies in Sniper Ghost Warrior across multiple installments, and we sold over 3 million copies of Lords of the Fallen. Lords of the Fallen in total is over 10 million units when you also include the game that was available through different subscription models with PlayStation platform and Xbox platform. Experienced global team. Again, what I said previously to that, we're operating the company remotely, mostly remotely from various locations, and that works great to us. And I think last year is a great example of that strategy really performing very well. Our sales and marketing team mostly is located currently in the UK. David, on the CFO position, he's operating out of Ireland. Currently, the largest development team is in Spain. Strong financial performance. We have 32% margin on the net profit for Q1. A bit more on numbers. David will explain in the next slides. We have award-winning, commercially successful portfolio, and looking into United Label, I think that's important element of the company. It's the fourth pillar for us. Tales of Iron performing still very well received by both critics and players. Same with Eldest Souls, released last year. We will keep going and building that pillar further. Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 performing much stronger than Contracts 1. We just sold over 1 million copies within less than a year. We're very happy about that result. And what's important, we recently placed tender offer to acquire remaining stake over United Label. Third, own IP added to our publishing portfolio. We developed the project Survive with the partner in Czech Republic, Battlefield. The project is within that studio. We obviously support the studio, and we own the IP and the direction, high-level vision for that project. Work very closely with that developer, and we are absolutely happy with the progress that that game is since it started. We will continue developing of our existing IPs. That's part of our strategy. We know that Sniper Ghost Warrior is getting stronger and stronger, and we see through Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 numbers, and we look forward to have the next installment doing even better than Contracts 2. So obviously our expectations are higher from the next Sniper Ghost Warrior. Lords of the Fallen is a proven success, proven formula, with Lords of the Fallen 1 being on the market already for 8 years and having certain recognition and awareness among players globally. I think that what we will deliver with Lords of the Fallen 2 will be a critical milestone in the growth of CI games. And I think you will soon be able to say more. The campaign will start in the third quarter 2022. Multiplayer component will be part of our every major release. Those games that we are working currently are primarily single player experience, but the multiplayer will be a very important and attractive element and support to the single player experience. We think it's getting more and more important, and I think we understand well how to make that multiplayer part being really meaningful and expand the audience. Organization further strengthened and internationalized. Again, what I said previously, we changed the organization from being mostly locally in Poland to organization that is mostly global. Organization that used to be, to a degree, a low-cost video game developer years ago, to organization that is focused on high efficiency, making great games, and in a smart way, so that the budgets are still under our control and are allowing us to be really very profitable when the game is successful. And that process we will keep going with that process further, and I think we're very confident that this is the right strategy for us to move on, and it's already proven within the current and previous results. That's our team that is managing our business, our organization, the team that we already presented to you several times. The team is working with different teams across those key geographic locations. It's very much balanced across different countries, and that helps us to really hire talent where the talent is. So we're focusing on bringing the strongest teams we can to work on our projects, to work on the projects, to work across marketing, sales, and being open to really recruit people in all the key locations basically expands the pool where we can hire the talent. And hiring talent is difficult. It's very competitive right now on a global scale. And I think we've been really very successful in bringing the teams to the level we have, and the quality of those teams that are with CI Games, and soon we will be able to show a bit more on the next projects in the next quarters on the next projects, and I think that this will become even more clear to the investors. This is a current structure between the projects. So Hexworks, it's 68 people. That's exactly for the end of March 2022, and the split among different countries. Sniper Ghost Warrior, that's Underdog Studio, and again, this is very important for us. We branding each studio with its own name, logo, its own brand, and that's why we have Hexworks, we have Underdog Studio. Obviously, on the Survive, we have Battlefield, and big majority of the team is in Czech Republic with Survive. And United Label is again mixture between the UK, Spain, and Poland. And that's our sales and marketing. Again, a mixture between the countries, and I think that allows us to really get the best expertise from those teams, and makes the best effort to support. And it's more than just support. Sales and marketing is very important for the success of our projects, and I mean, I'm sure I don't have to explain that more. And this is how the total team for the end of March 2022, this is 159 people, is spread among different divisions. So development, including several people in the QA, is almost 130 people right now, with finance and admin being 21 and sales marketing 10. David, mic is yours.
Thanks, Marek, for that overview. Very helpful. I'll run you through quickly on the performance in Q1. Obviously, at a high level, Q1 pretty comparable quarter to this time last year. Net revenue at 12.9, up from 9.5. EBITDA broadly flat year on year, and the net profit up to 4.1 from 2.7. Again, continued to generate healthy EBITDA margins at 48.6, along with a net profit margin of 31.9, up from 28.7 last year. And we carry over a strong cash position of 34.6 million, marginally down from 37.8 at the end of December. EPS year on year for the same quarter, again, broadly flat at 0.02. But again, pretty solid quarter relative to the same time last year. Good, strong, healthy cash position, and a healthy set of financial highlights for the first quarter. If we get into this in a bit more detail, obviously the revenue in Q1 up significantly on this time last year. 56% of the revenue came from Sniper 2. New releases from United Labels portfolio accounted for 14%. So, across those two those two areas, 70% of the revenue being generated from that. SG&A costs amounted to 4.1, increased by 1.2 million compared to the same quarter last year. This is primarily a function of the growth of the group, as we seek to expand, professionalize, and certainly get ready for the releases that we have slated for 2023 and beyond. And ongoing marketing expenses related to the newer releases that came through last year, and we continue that activity into the early part of this year as well. Operating profit again up strongly with a healthy margin of 32.5%. EBITDA broadly flat year on year, again primarily due to the lower amortization year on year, as a lot of the older games are now fully amortized. And again, a strong net profit of 4.1 with a healthy net profit margin of 31.9%. So again, overall, a good, healthy start to the beginning of the year, broadly in line with our expectations, and gives us a good starting point for the remainder of 2022. Moving on to the balance sheet, again, assets up marginally, again, primarily attributable to investment in the games and working capital elements. Intangible assets up 13.8. Again, this is primarily a function of the investment into the newer titles, which you're yet to see. Lords of the Fallen 2 and the next installment of Sniper Ghost Warrior obviously being the two big areas of development for the business at this point. As it stands at the end of Q1, the business is debt-free. The only liabilities that are there relate to rental liabilities. We have put a new debt facility in place, which we're very happy with obviously one of the leading Polish banks, PKO BP. That has a facility up to 29 million in Polish zloty. We can draw that down in euro or zlots. And for the euro amounts, we can apply Euribor to that and WIBOR on any Polish amounts. And we have that facility in place till the 31st of December 2023. Operating cash flow, again, it's like a negative, but the majority of that, again, is primarily being driven by the development costs as we continue to execute and scale for Lords of the Fallen 2 and the Sniper franchise. As I said in the earlier slide, obviously strong, healthy cash balance that we've carried over from the year end. And again, puts us in a good position, coupled with the debt facility to, gives us plenty of headroom for the business. Financial performance, obviously, we're just putting this up here in terms of the expectations from the market and the analyst coverage that's currently out there. Again, I think as we flagged at the full year, this is probably a year more of consolidation as we build into next year and we look towards the release of the existing franchises and other games that are currently in development and that will launch primarily in 2023 and beyond. Our roadmap, again, like I said, our big focus, the majority of our teams, our people, our efforts continue to be focused around the next installment of Sniper Ghost Warrior, and in particular, Lords of the Fallen 2. With United Label, we'll continue to sign new projects. I think a realistic run rate for that business is somewhere between 2 to 4 titles, primarily depending on the size of the budget, which will dictate the size of the game and therefore the bandwidth and focus that can be put into those. Obviously, we're looking at launching the third owned IP in the popular genre that we highlighted already with Marek. And obviously, we continue to progress our strategic options along the lines of the dual listing. So again, what we've done in the rest of the deck, and you can find this on the website later, we've put some additional detail in, we've given some supporting information there. I don't think we'll go through that on this call, but it's available to investors and analysts to review. Again, if you have any questions that don't get addressed on this webcast or in the material there, happy to answer those once you email the company directly. There's already been a number of questions, Marek, that have started to come in as we've been both talking. Made a note of a few of those, so obviously in the interest of time, I think we'll start to jump into those. Obviously a lot of questions, Marek, about our upcoming game release schedule, the games that we have in development. People looking for a bit more information on those and looking to get your perspective on how you feel about those and if you could talk a bit further.
Right. So obviously, we have been working across different teams, Hexworks, Underdog, CI on helping with Battlefield, with Sniper Ghost Warrior. Next, Lords of the Fallen 2 is currently our largest project, both in terms of budget, the amount of people that are involved into developing that game. And it's also the most advanced project across those three. And Project Survive was Battlefield. All the three projects are obviously based on our own IP. And those three projects are developed simultaneously across those studios. But again, we have quite a lot of partners that we work, external studios partners that we work in order to support those teams. I mean, our teams are not that large to be able to develop significant larger releases just on their own. So we leverage working with outsourcers to a big extent. And because of that, we are able to really develop those games within the scope and time that we currently have. And I think we're absolutely looking into bringing some great projects, great games, starting 2023.
Okay.
Obviously, if I can say a bit more here, Sniper Ghost Warrior, I mean, it is important franchise to us, obviously. And the next one, we absolutely want to bring it to the bigger audience than before. So I think there's a lot of great stuff coming from CI Games in terms of our projects. And again, what I said previously, we are preparing the first, marketing, basically start a marketing campaign and the first big marketing beat coming in Q3.
Okay. Again, I suppose somewhat related to this, Marek. Just another question that's come in here is about the current strategy. How do you feel about that? And obviously the releases are a big part of this, but how this will help us deliver sustainable shareholder returns in the long term, obviously for our investors.
Right. So obviously last year we delivered very strong financial performance when we launched Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 and 2 smaller titles with United Label, with the revenue of 105 million Polish zlotys and the net profit of around 38. And we've been developing AA plus and AAA games for the last 20 years. And we have a lot of experience in that. And I think what we have right now as well is great teams. We have great teams working on those projects from including the management, including the directors of those teams. And I think following that strategy, obviously we aiming to release every 12 to 18 months. We're aiming to release a major title. So that will impact a more recurring revenues and more recurring business in terms of the revenues going into the future, obviously starting 2023. And we want to support that with 2 to 4 indie games every year, again, depending on the budgets of those games. And the strategy this way is based on those 4 pillars that gives us a great chance to really get the business to the next level.
I might just take the next question. Somebody's asking, about our plans to acquire the outstanding shares in United Label, and what the driver behind that was. I think it's very simple. We've talked about our 4-pillar strategy. We've talked about how we want to bring attractive content to a global audience, and how we want to expand our portfolio of games. And United Label is a key component of that strategy. It gives us a unique way of really delivering new and engaging content to an international player base. And I think it becomes a core part of our strategy as we kind of go forward, and that's why the business was started. I think with the way that we've grown CI Games and we've professionalized the business and the structures that have been put in place, I think bringing United Label back under the control of CI Games at this point and its ownership is a better position to better support its growth and really help build our combined player communities at the end of the day as well. And so we see a lot of synergies and we see a lot of benefits, both to our overall strategy, both to United Label, to really kind of help build on that. So to us it makes sense, and obviously we put an attractive offer into the market there, and we will run through that process in terms of the tender offer. So like I said, it makes sense to us. In terms of other questions, another one related to United Label, will this see more M&A focused growth strategy going forward? Obviously I was in Keywords for over 3 years. We made over 30 acquisitions. I understand the space very well. Like I said, United Label makes complete sense to us as a conclude that acquisition, or certainly buy the remaining 20%. Our strategy primarily is on diversifying our revenues across our pillars, developing our fully owned IP, and United Label as well with its indie publishing. I think that will keep us more than busy in the immediate term. But I think if the right opportunities ever arose, we would certainly look at those. But I think people, the knowledge, the technology that are used in any of those would probably be at the forefront of any decisions we made. But, at the moment, we have more than enough in terms of executing our strategy, and like I said, diversifying our revenues, and building our 4 pillars and making them as strong as possible for the business. So I think we have more than enough opportunities inside our current business at this point. We'll see people looking for an update on the dual listing. Again, Marek, if you're happy, I'll take that.
Go ahead.
Again, for us, I think it makes complete sense. It's in line with our strategy. It's in line with a deep review that we've done of the business, that predated my arrival and subsequent to my arrival. I think the basis behind it is to broaden our access to capital, and to investors, enhance liquidity in the stock. And we are a global business with global players and global teams, and we need to raise our profile in other markets as well. We've obviously appointed Berenberg with the view that they'll help assess the dual listing, most likely in London later in this year. So that's an ongoing process. As and when we have updates, we'll give those to you. London, I think, to us makes sense because it has a strong community of listed video game companies. There's a good level of understanding of the sector amongst investors and analysts, and it complements, I think, very well the long-standing, broad support of existing Polish shareholder base that has followed and supported CI Games for a number of years. So for us, I think at this point it makes complete sense. I think, Marek, again, question for you. A few questions popping up here about our ability to attract talent. How competitive is the marketplace at the moment, and what are we seeing?
Right. So absolutely, the market is right now very competitive. I think that's everybody's aware of that. It's very competitive, and especially when you're going to hire the best, talent and the strongest specialists in a given segment, in a given division, it's highly competitive. And at the same time, it's a very exciting time to join the business, to join the teams, to join the development teams, as we have great projects. And I mean, Lords of the Fallen, just let's start with that. It's so strong, and it's just, for a lot of people, it's a project that they just almost like it's a passion project. They want to be part of that. So with Sniper, again, the way we are developing that further and iterating on the franchise with the next one, it's just attractive. It's very attractive for people, and that's part of that. Obviously, it's everything. It's a location. It's the package, and it's the culture and the teams, the people that the new guys will work with. But the projects are so essential. So I think we are doing really very well in that very competitive space. But again, like a big part of us being successful in growing our teams is that we are international, and we're open for different geographic locations that people can work from. We're not saying it has to be only that city or only that city. We are very supportive, and obviously somehow it's more convenient for us if we have our teams working pretty much in a similar time zone. But we also have a couple of people who are in a completely different time zone, and it works well. Yeah, I think that what else I could say? I mean, it's absolutely great to work with partners, with outsourcing partners, and I think we've been to a degree lucky with selection of those partners, and a lot of those partners are together with us for years, developing Lords of the Fallen 2 or developing Next Sniper Ghost Warrior, and that's a great way to leverage in production, basically making those games really being bigger than the internal teams can deliver at a given time.
Again, probably another question for you, Marek. I suppose what's giving you confidence about the kind of current strategy, making kind of sustainable growth in the business, and as you look out over the next kind of 3 to 5 years and the kind of opportunities that you see for CI Games?
So first of all, we have great projects in development with great teams. I said that already at least once or twice, and I think that's the essential part that makes me confident that we are absolutely getting the company to the next level. And that strategy obviously is based on those 4 pillars, or major IPs, United Label, and every major release coming between, in every 12 to 18 months. That is essential for really more consistent earning profile over the years. And we're driving and broadening our revenue streams throughout being available on all the platforms and delivering more content post-launch. I think that's all essential and a major component for our strategy and what it will make that strategy being successful in the next years.
There's just a question I'll take on the debt financing, just somebody looking for clarification. Like I said, the facility is in place until the end of 2023. It has a headline 29 million Polish zloty maximum. We can draw down the facility in either euro or zloty. For any zloty amounts, WIBOR will be applied. For any euro amounts, LIBOR or Euribor will be applied. So just to clarify that for the person who asked that question. Marek, I don't know if you see any other questions in the list here.
I think that there's one question around Elden Ring and the success of Elden Ring, recent success of Elden Ring, and how that influenced basically our strategy schedule. I think I would like to speak on that. Definitely, Elden Ring became very successful release. That's action RPG with the Soulsborne combat. Very similar, very same genre. We are with Lords of the Fallen 2. Huge success of Elden Ring. I think they said 11 million copies around those lines within the first couple of weeks of sales. Best-selling game in that kind of a space ever, I think. In that with action RPG with the Soulsborne combat, so more challenging combat. That definitely opens the audiences, the new audiences, and that's great testament of how successful a game can be. Obviously, Elden Ring is an open world game that also can increase potentially the audience interested over the game. Previous games coming from Software were more like linear sort of experiences for the sake of better word. It's absolutely, we absolutely very excited when we see the numbers that Elden Ring did. It doesn't mean that we were forecasting those numbers, or it's too early for us to say that. That's a huge success, but it's absolutely a great example and a great statement of how the genre is becoming more attractive to larger audiences than ever before. I think that's a great news. Yeah.
So I don't see many other questions that we haven't covered at this point. I'll let you have one last look, Marek, but if there's nothing else, I think we can
I think we covered pretty much, probably not every question, but some of the questions are around the same line. So I think we covered pretty much almost everything there. So I think we're good.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you for everybody who's joined today. Like I said, the release is obviously up on the exchange. We have release in English and in Polish on our website. And the full presentation is also available there as well. And a recording of the webcast will be available later as well. So, and any questions, please direct them towards the company, and happy to deal with those over the course of this week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.